Hello, Prior here. Today we are talking about how to fix the roller class. First of all, what makes rollers and the class bad in Splatoon 2? Carbon has a bad kit and unplayable horizontal. Splat Roller has bad kits and slow horizontal. Flingzer has a very inconsistent horizontal. And Dynamo has low mobility, very slow and inconsistent horizontal. Overall terrible at taking head-on 1v1s and atrocious RNG. So, how do we improve the roller class? Bring back some of the Splatoon 1 strengths in the roller class to Splatoon 2 and potentially 3. What will I not include in this video? I will not include frame rate data because I am focusing more on damage and range, and also hitbox data images because most of it is extremely janky and inaccurate, so it's very hard to measure it. What will I include in this video? I will include weapon ranges to compare, Splatoon 1 and 2 data to explain damage input such as reducing RNG. How strong should roller be? I'm going to do 3 stages. The first stage is making all the weapons the average class. The second stage is making all the weapons meta. And lastly, the third stage is making all the weapons the best weapons in the game. So, let's start on the first stage. All rollers have roller bounces removed. This is to guarantee one-shot kills from very close range and remove pushback, so the weapon is rewarded for getting close to enemies rather than being punished for it. Increase minimum damage for falling to 25 to increase consistency from whatever range and angle of the flick. For Carbon, we need a different special to boost its slaying power in the meta, such as giving it Inkjet. For Splat Roller, we also need a different special with a curling bomb, such as giving it bubbles. Nintendo could have also brought back Cora Roller with Splash Wall and Inkjet. For Flingzer, it's not applicable for this stage as the weapon is quite strong already. It's just taken a long time for people to notice its potential for it to be good. For Dynamo, improving the vertical minimum damage to 45 to make it more viable as a stacked main power-up midline weapon like the Kenza Splatshot Pro, Bamboo, H3 and CDS. In the second stage, all rollers' maximum damage is not judged by how low you hit the enemy, only ink flung from the center of the roller. This is to reduce unnecessary RNG to make the consistency much easier to control and to give you more range to aim slightly higher. For Carbon, we want to increase horizontal one-hit KO from 1 length to 1 1/4. I'll show the example. So back to the original horizontal flick from Splat 1 to give back its consistency again. For Splat Roller, we want to increase the horizontal minimum range from 2.5 to 2 3/4, which is the same as Splat 1 Roller, to further increase chip damage and potential easier picks against short-range weapons. Flingzer, reduced ink consumption from placing a splash wall from 50 to 45%. Right now the Flingzer without ink efficiency abilities, you are only able to do 3 vertical flicks after throwing the splash wall. This is to make Flingzer more viable to play with the splash wall and to take on fights better by giving the Flingzer an extra flick to combo with the splash wall for longer. Dynamo, minimum vertical range to 5, which is the same as a Hydra, so it can potentially take on fights against backline weapons from a safer distance. Its speed isn't great and is very hard to hit, so it should be more rewarding. Also change the horizontal one-hit KO from 2 1/4 to 2.5, which is the same range as a splash. This is to make Dynamo a more consistent roller and safer against weapons with short range. For the third stage, all rollers now have the new ability to paint quickly and more using horizontal painting flicks. This could be a good way to change the brain dead horizontal into a more strategic way for the roller class by pressing a different button to help the roller to go for safe turfing rather than extreme damage and trying to roll in dangerous areas. For Carbon, we want to reduce its RNG fall-off damage for the vertical minimum flick range for a more consistent 40 damage. This is to make Carbon much more viable at combining burst bombs with vertical flicks from a far distance. For Splat Roller, we want to change horizontal flick at the same speed as Splatoon 1 Splat Rollers to give it back its former glory as a terrifying frontliner and makes the horizontal a viable flick. For Flingser, we want to improve the horizontal hitbox. Right now, the hitbox is slightly shaped as V, where there is a weird hole in the middle of the flick. Another buff is to be able to cancel vertical flick. This is to make it a scary weapon that can do anything with improved mobility. For Dynamo, we want to change vertical minimum damage to 50 to give it a more terrifying roll to be able to contest fights better against longer ranged weapons rather than taking forever to kill backline weapons with 3 flicks. Also to be able to play other important abilities instead of stacking main power up, and to be able to cancel either vertical or horizontal flicks for improved mobility. Another great buff would be for the horizontal one hit KO to go from 2 1/4 to 2 3/4, which pretty much always wins fights against short range weapons, as they should do. Conclusion: Roller would be much stronger and more viable in the Splatoon 2 game if Nintendo kept most of the strong things about the roller from Splatoon 1. What Nintendo should have kept in Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2 is the consistency of a good and reliable hitbox in a head-on 1v1. If you have anything you liked or you disagreed with the buff ideas, let me know down in the comments below. Until next time, bye bye.